Welcome everybody to Dietitian Life. Today we're very excited to have Professor Tim Crowe come and speak to me today. Definitely big fangirl moment here. He's been a very big presence with dietitians and obviously social media across the board, and has obviously been involved in dietetics and nutrition and research for many years. So welcome, Tim. Thank you for taking time today.
Oh, that's a lovely introduction. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm really happy to chat to you today, Peter, and thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sweet. Well, look, I suppose everyone would love to know just a little bit about what a day looks like for you, and certainly what your career has been like leading up to now, because obviously there's been lots of different things you've been involved in over your time. So I'd love to hear a little bit about it. So what got you into dietetics in general, I suppose, would be the first question.
Oh, I was just fascinated about nutrition and health, as probably most people are. I was trained as a biochemist and a molecular biologist and worked in a lab, but I found myself much more interested in research around nutrition and sports performance, nutrition and diabetes, and all those facets which had nothing to do with the research I was doing. And I was discovering the more I was reading about this, the more I was interested in this. So I made the big call as a postdoctoral scientist to go back and retrain as a dietitian. So I did the Master of Nutrition and Dietetics at University of Sydney. And that was fantastic. It was a really good career change for me. I worked as a clinical dietitian for a bit over a year, which I enjoyed it, but the lure of research and teaching was pretty strong. And that got me back into the academic environment for many years at Deakin. And then because of that role, I had a lot of opportunities to do social media communication, consumer writing, and all those facets, which led me to my more recent change, and that's sort of going on my own, doing health communication, nutrition writing, scientific consulting, and a whole range of other factors I'm interested in that I've developed slowly over my career. So where you get at a later stage in your career is really the sum total of all your interests and things that you've done over time. It wasn't always design in purpose, but I was very fortunate, had the chance to follow things I was interested in.
So how many years did you actually spend as a biochemist?
So I did honours in biochemistry, and then did a PhD in biochemistry and worked for a few years. And then, after that, I sort of made the call to go back and study dietetics. So it was a bit of a big change going from working full time to being a student. And I think many people doing masters have probably been in that pathway, but it was certainly the right career move to make. Yeah.
So you, so pretty much you're 100% committed to dietetics in general?
Oh, absolutely. It's what I'm interested in. It's what I'm passionate about. I love reading about it. I love communicating about it. So I can't see any other random career direction change in the future that doesn't have anything to do with nutrition in some sense. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And sorry, in terms of going from obviously being employed at Deakin, and you've since now moved on and doing your own social media communications, etc. What would a typical day look like at this stage?
Well, I mean, one of the advantages and disadvantages of running your own business is that your day is really up to you how you manage it. I mean, you always have bosses. Every person you do some work for is a boss. It's a client you're doing work for. Yeah. But at any one time, I've got multiple projects going on. I might be doing some blog posts. I might be doing some consumer writing for various health publications I write for. I might be in the midst of a major scientific review article for a company. They're after evidence for X, Y, or Z, for nutrition and health. I'll be preparing presentations for either the consumers or for health professionals. So it's really just juggling all those different roles. And then every now and then the media calls for comment for various stories. So it's quite dynamic and fluid, but you get to sort of choose how your own day maps out and when you work and where you work, which is one of the attractive things about doing freelance work. You just need to ensure you've got enough work coming in to keep you busy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I know obviously a lot of dietitians would see that there's a lot of risk, I guess, in going out on your own. Obviously, you've got a lot of experience, professional qualifications outside of just dietetics. And it obviously has taken a long while for you to build your social media presence.
Look, it's very difficult to you don't become overnight successful in these areas. It takes a long time to build up that knowledge and credibility. So probably, for 10 years I was doing this sort of stuff, growing it more and more in my role in the academic world before I knew that I had enough work to go out there and start doing it myself. So, building up credibility and knowledge and networks and contacts does take a long time. So for a new grad, opening up your shop as a consultant, head health writer, any of those things, you might find work takes a bit of time to find its way to you. So it might be a goal you want to have in the future. But my advice would be work to that while you're exploring other more areas where you know you've got a guaranteed income coming in, because that's going to be important for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose when I was a student, which was getting close to maybe 10 plus years ago now, I was sort of throwing up the idea of maybe going into research, etc. But I thought that it probably was more important that I got my feet wet, and I saw what it was like to be a dietitian. I started to see trends in the population and maybe areas that we needed more research or there was deficits in. So therefore I sort of said that I wouldn't do that. And then obviously now I still haven't gone back and done any research. As you said, you know, when you've been working in a profession for a while, the idea of then going back to, you know, a wage that's not great, you know, or obviously there's aspects of all of that, you know, as a female, you know, there's family and babies and all that fun stuff. So if, would you agree that was actually the right path, or would you encourage dietitians, because dietetics these days, the students are ridiculously intelligent, high level, the admission into the universities is a lot higher than what it used to be when I went in, that was for sure. 10 years ago I just rolled on in. So would you suggest that people go along and do honours and masters and things like that and stay in research, or you think that coming back to it at a later stage?
I think there's no right way of doing it. First of all, you should only do research if you're interested in it. Otherwise, it's absolute hell. So you have to have the right mindset for it. I started in research, then moved into dietetics as a clinician, and then back into research. Look, if you really know that's a path you want to go down, I see a lot of dietitians do come back into research with the aim of pursuing a PhD. So it doesn't have to be put off at any particular stage. You can do it when the time's right. It's generally, the younger you are when you do it, the easier it is, because you have less life going on in some ways. Yes, we're always busy, but it's probably more feasible to manage at a younger age. But as you get older, there's financial commitments. It could be mortgages, kids, all those sorts of things. That doesn't make it impossible, but it can be harder.
As I was looking through a lot of your early research as well, it was all very clinical based as well, which obviously is then, it clarifies that because you were in a clinical position. So there was a lot of malnutrition research, there was a lot of cancer, and all the above. These days, I suppose your nutrition consultancy and your communication is more around chronic disease and things like that.
Correct. Yeah. So all the popular issues that we're dealing with at a global level, just giving my take on it, be it, you know, some new breaking emerging research or just adding to the current knowledge. And my aim has always been to try and put it into context, not get caught with the sensational media headlines. You know, if you've got 20 studies showing that eating fruit and vegetables are good for you, if an opposing study comes out, that will get all the headlines for the day. I try and look at I look at the whole entire research field and make, you know, comment based upon that, and also look at what's the overall trends in nutrition. You know, decades and decades of research have not disproven that eating mostly plant-based foods, not a lot of added highly processed food, not a lot of sugar, you know, lots of fruit and vegetables, whole grains if you choose to eat them. That's really the cornerstone of a fairly healthy diet, and most people do know that. It's the difficulty we have as dietitians then is overcoming the barriers of communicating that and in helping with behavior change for our clients.
And so would you agree, I suppose, that a lot of research these days obviously is not in nutrition, actually primarily run by dietitians that have PhDs. So would you suggest that as dietitians we should consider research as something that's as valuable and as rewarding than that one-on-one client contact?
They are both important. So we're seeing more and more dietitians do PhDs, which is wonderful. It means that they can put their own unique spin and bias, I mean that in a very positive way, on the sort of work that they do and bring their unique skill set and knowledge set into the research they do. And one of the things they do have is that knowledge of food, dietary behaviors and counselling, which they can put into a research project. So the more academic dietitians we've got, the better. It also means we've got more minds to look at the research and communicate that. But not everyone has to do that. There's roles that I would be absolutely terrible at. Anything foodie related, I'd be an absolute failure at. You know, I'm great at the science and the food science and the nutrients, but you know, get me talking about recipes and all that sort of stuff and putting into practical advice for someone at a 1-1 level, then that's really not my forte, or to be honest, my interests. You don't always have to follow your passions, but you have to have enough interest in it that you could see that you can develop a good career in it, and it will give you more options in the future.
No, absolutely. And I suppose that's why there's places for everybody. As you said, you know, not everybody has to go into research.
It's one of the wonderful things about our training is that you've got those options to go into so many diverse areas in your career, which is fantastic. It's why it's so popular to do dietetics, because of those.
Yeah. I guess, do you think that, I know myself, we employ a lot of new graduates, and I talk to a lot of new graduates that they pretty much have clinical dietetics here. Hospital, this is what I want. This is everything that I want. Private practice, if we look at the workforce, is probably equal in terms of the number of people that are in it. But let's just say that maybe not all the number of people that are doing well in it, but just the number of people entering it. Research I think is down here, and food companies is over here. So, in terms of the options, I can guarantee a lot of graduates are thinking that that's the only thing. And I think, as you say, it's not an easy road. It's something that needs persistence and time. So I suppose knowing that this is possible for our new dietitians is certainly important. But yeah, maybe something to stay on top of for the lecturer's point of view, that they're obviously waiting for
it is
to get into.
Exactly. It may not always be the student's favourite topic to deal with, research skills and stats and all those things, but they are very useful skills. Even if you don't follow that as a research career, as a full career, having those skills actually differentiates you from similar applicants and new graduates for positions, because you've got an additional skill set you can bring to the job. So it makes you more employable. Even though you may not be doing research in a job, if you've got those skills, it certainly makes you very employable because of the demonstrated ability to undergo critical thinking, critical appraisal, project management, all the things that go with it. So
that's a really good point. I agree with that in relation to other jobs. I think if it's a private practice position or a clinical position, maybe not so much, but having those additional skills obviously broadens your reach. Fabulous.
That's what it's about. Product differentiation, your unique selling point. You all, even as a new grad, you've all got the same core knowledge.
Absolutely.
What's unique about you? What sort of experience have you got that you can draw upon to try and differentiate yourself from other people? That's really what it's about.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I think I've said that maybe 10, 20, 100 times over the last couple of years. So
and here's a tip for those listening, particularly new grads: being passionate about food and nutrition is not a unique selling point. You all are passionate. I've seen that thousands of times. We know that you're passionate. That's why you're doing the course. But that's not enough to make yourself different from everybody else, because everyone else is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So I think that's a good place to end, dear Dietitian Life. Sorry. So thank you very much for your time today, Tim. If anyone wants to follow Tim on Thinking Nutrition, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and all of the above. You've been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and see you later.
Great. Thanks very much. Great talking to you, Peter.